The principles of applied behavior analysis. The history of applied behavior analysis. ABA began in the 1930s by a historian named B.F. Skinner, who was a scientist, and he founded ABA by using operant or learned behaviors. And the two types of learning are operant and respondent behavior. Operant behavior is shaped through the consequences that immediately follow, and respondent behavior is a response of components of a reflex and behavior that is elicited or induced by antecedent stimuli. What is applied behavior analysis? ABA is a scientific approach that improves socially significant behaviors. The procedures used in ABA are designed to help socially significant behaviors and are developed from behaviorism, the basic principle, experimental analysis of behavior, which is the research, and applied behavior analysis, how is the research applied. Behavior. Behavior is everything that an organism does, including convert actions such as thinking, jumping, talking, or even yelling, just like the Queen in Alice in Wonderland. Operant conditions. Behaviors that are learned through and shaped through consequences that immediately follow the behavior. And the consequences occur after the behavior will change. So in the picture of Tarzan, we have Jane teaching Tarzan how to read, and by learning the words that he does not know, there would be a consequence, and that would be the word that he does not know, and she tells him, and then he learns the words. Three-term contingency is the basic unit of analysis, and the analysis of the operant behavior encompasses the temporal and possibly dependent relations among an antecedent behavior and consequences. So the three-term contingency is consisted of antecedent, stimulus, the behavior, and consequence is also set up as A, B, C. So A plus B equals C. The schedule of reinforcement. So the schedule of reinforcement are continuous reinforcement, where every behavior is reinforced, or the intermittent of reinforcement. Not every behavior is reinforced. And then you have the four schedules of the reinforcement, which are fixed interval, variable ratio, fixed ratio, and variable ratio. So when it comes to continuous reinforcement, this is when every single time, let's say, Tigger jumps, he continues to be reinforced either to please stop or until it hopefully continues to stop. Or intermittent of reinforcement is that not every behavior is reinforced, so it's random. It could be that Tigger jumps for 5 seconds, he's reinforced. Tigger jumps for 10 seconds and he's reinforced. So it's random. It's not consistent. So then we have reinforcement, and there are two types. We have both positive and negative reinforcement. Reinforcement, there's that three-term contingency that we talked about, that I mentioned earlier. So that also consists, but it looks differently, but it's still the same. So we have the SRS, either positive or negative, depending on what the outcome is. And consequences must happen within 60 seconds after the behavior occurs to make sure that the appropriate behavior is being reinforced. Because if it's not reinforced within 60 seconds, you could be reinforcing another behavior. And by doing this, it's by giving them praise or telling them. So positive reinforcement, which is a stimulus that is presented to increase the intensity of behavior and will increase the future probability of a response. And I have the link that is connected to a video of positive reinforcement with Cinderella. So in the video, Cinderella's stepmother is using positive reinforcement by using the Premack principle, or also known as the grandma's rule. Cinderella has to finish all of her chores to find an appropriate outfit before she's able to attend the ball. This could also be a schedule reinforcement, which would be a conjunction schedule reinforcement because, like I said, her stepmother told her that she has to finish all of her chores before she can attend the ball. Negative reinforcement, a stimulus that is removed to contingent on the response that increases the future probability of a response. So in the example, Cinderella has clothes all over the floor and a laundry basket sitting next to it. This causes frustration, so she folds the clothes and puts them away, and now her room is clean. So the three-term contingency would be clothes are all over the floor. Cinderella folds clothes and puts them away, and now there are no clothes on the floor. And in the future, she will now keep her room clean. It will not cause as much frustration as she has in the past. Motivating operations. A motivating operation is an environmental variable that alters the reinforcing effectiveness of some stimulus, object, or event and alters the current frequency of behavior that has been reinforced by a stimulus. So the motivating operation has two effects on behavior, which are value-altering effects, behavior-altering effects, and two types of motivating operations. So we have establishing, so value-altering motivation operation that increases the reinforcing effectiveness of some stimulus, and then behavior-altering motivating operation that increases the current frequency of behavior that has been reinforced by a stimulus. And then we have abolishing, so value-altering motivating operation decreases the reinforcing effectiveness of some stimulus, and behavior-altering motivating operation decreases in the current frequency of behavior that has been reinforced by a stimulus. So in the example up here, I have Tigger who continues to bounce all day long, and by the end of the day, with him bouncing, he sleeps. He's going to be tired and ends up taking a nap. So now we have punishments. Punishments, there are two types, positive and negative. We have type 1 that also means positive and type 2 that is negative. Punishments also have a three-term contingency, which looks as SRSP, positive or negative, depending on the outcome. Punishing, and something to remember, you're punishing the behavior, not the person, and a punishment occurs after the behavior and has to show a decrease in the future behavior. So an example, I have Simba who's being punished for where his behavior is being punished for something that happened. So you have positive punishment. It's the presentation of a stimulus immediately following a behavior that results in a decrease of future behavior. So in the example, I have Pinocchio likes to make up stories, and when he tells a lie, his punishment is that his nose continues to grow, and then eventually he stops telling lies. So the three-term contingency would be he tells a lie, nose grows, and then he eventually stops telling the lies. So negative punishment, the removal of an already presented stimulus that immediately follows a behavior that will decrease in the future. So example, in the picture, Dumbo's mother was sticking up for Dumbo because others were making fun of his ears, and the circus owners thought he was a wild animal and locked her up. So the three-term contingency would be the people were making fun of Dumbo's ears, Mom became angry, and then the circus people removed her from the situation and put her in a cage where she could calm down. Imitation and rule-governed behavior. So imitation. So in the picture of Cinderella's stepsisters begins to laugh and the other one follows after the mother disciplines Cinderella. So the rule-governed behavior, Cinderella makes sure that she has all of the instructions on how to clean the house. So she follows each step by step because her mother has a specific way and she wants to make sure that she cleans the way her mother wants her to clean the house. Extinction is a procedure that occurs when reinforcement of a previously reinforced behavior is discontinued and used to decrease problematic behavior. So example, we have Pooh is talking Talking to Piglet, Tigger continues to bounce around them. Rather than asking Tigger to stop bouncing, Piglet and Pooh then move themselves to a smaller space where eventually Tigger stops his bouncing, and then that eventually the bouncing stops because he's not able to bounce.